Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Investment Property Success, Secrets from the Pros. Today we have our good friend and client, Randall Mycorn. Welcome, Randall. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Trevor. Thanks for having me.
Diving right in, give us the elevator pitch on your company and what it does and how it does it.
Sure. Company RLM Equities really has two arms. A brokerage arm, obviously helping clients buy and sell their real estate, 1031 exchange, and referring other services, obviously, like refinancing, etc. The other arm is called a quasi syndication. It's more of a friends and family syndicate. We invest in fix and flip properties, longer term holds, and specifically in North Orange County, sometimes all of Orange County, and specifically multifamily. Yeah.
Specifically multifamily. Okay.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit more about the fix and flip side, that for those who maybe aren't familiar with what that means.
Sure. So there's short-term holds. A lot of time we're dealing with bridge debt, short-term debt, with a ticking clock. We purchase, renovate, re-tenant sometimes, and go to market within a short-term hold period, sometimes as short as 3 months, 4 months.
Wow. 3 months. Wow.
Yeah. The longest fix and flip we had actually lasted 11 months and 21 days, almost a full year.
Wow.
We dealt with something unexpected that I'll probably discuss later on in this interview.
Looking forward to it. All right.
Yeah.
And how did you get involved in multifamily real estate?
My father, Barry
okay.
Mycorn. Yeah. He's, been a mentor
client.
to me since. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So did you grow up in the industry?
Yeah. So I was kind of thrown into the fire when I was a senior in high school.
Oh wow.
Yeah. That's when they him and my other mentor, Greg Horvath, they kind of, had me serving notices and getting bids, without investing, just kind of learning the ropes of the business.
Right.
And also at the time I was interning at what used to be known as Investment Property Group, and now is known as Tricor. I was an intern there, so I was kind of learning, borderline ropes of everything at a very young age. But for the most part, my father was the reason why I got into this field.
Awesome. What was your first deal, Randall? So you got in with your father. So when did you finally decide, okay, I'm going to do this on my own, or did Dad push you into like, hey, time for you to do a deal, son? And how did that all work out? What was your first deal like?
So the question, what was my first deal? I would break up into two parts. What was my first deal I was involved in, with my hands on it? And what was the first deal that I took the leadership and, pulled together money and directed from start to finish? So the first part of that answer is a triplex in Costa Mesa on Wilson Street, actually. It was a fix and flip. Greg found it, kind of put me up to the task. Hey, you've been kind of throwing in a few thousand here as a kid. Why don't you, put a little bit more savings into this deal and help us out a little more. So I was knocking on doors, serving 60-day eviction notices. I was handing out increases to one of the tenants, dealing with huge termite issues, just getting all the bids. It was fun until we were about on that 59th day, ready to move out. And one of the tenants has this 1976 Cadillac that he drove up from Guatemala. I want to say, in the 80s, sometime in the 80s. And he had it in this garage since the 80s. And it's been there so long, the tires had disintegrated. The rims had actually melted and molded into the concrete. Like they were one, so the car wouldn't move.
Wow.
And this tenant he had.
Was there a fire?
I don't know if there was a fire. I mean, if there was, we never found out about it, but we literally had this car that was immovable. And we had like 4 or 5 bids come out. Some guy was like, yeah, we'll just saw it out of there, use the jaws of life, everything. I'm talking like construction. We had rubbish guys, like everything. And we finally ended up cutting the rims from the concrete, pulled it out. And I'm telling you, I've never seen, first of all, the car was like beautiful. It was relatively well maintained, except for obviously it didn't have working wheels. But I'd never dealt with anything like that. I was just a kid, midway through college, just like, what do you mean your car doesn't move? So that was interesting first deal story. And then the other
So,
deal, the first one,
but so
go ahead.
so how did you get it? How did you get it? So like a
Yeah.
hacksaw, chop saw?
So they had the the metal cutters, like those saws
Right.
that had off the table. So he had it off the table and he just went at it. I mean, I stopped by. It took about 3 hours. I was there for about 15 minutes. I was like, I'm not going to hang around and watch this thing. He had the full, the mask, and he's cutting this thing away.
Wow.
And the tenants just sitting there like, oh my God, like what is going on? Like my car. I don't know if he salvaged it or whatever, but they put it on the back of a tow truck and took it to his next place. So I guess he dropped it in that garage next. So yeah, pretty crazy.
Fantastic story. So okay, that was part one. What you said about part two was
part two is not as wild, but the first deal that I found, I sourced, I took from start to finish, put the money together, everything like that. It was a fourplex in La Habra. That was extremely smooth. There was no cars melted into the garages, luckily.
Smooth. Wow.
Yeah, very smooth. Surprisingly, my first one, we were in and out in about 5 months. I had a really,
Congrats.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, Chris Holgreen helped us out at the time. And, he's taught me so much along the way. And with this deal specifically, I mean, it was my first time working with him directly. And, he just showed me how to get things done, essentially.
Yeah. Chris is the turnover master for sure. He knows all the materials, right? All the materials, how much they should cost, how fast they should be able to put in, and who to do it with.
Exactly. Yeah, he's quick too. That's a smart guy. Yeah.
Shout out to our COO, Chris Holgreen.
Yeah, shout out Chris. You're the best.
So you were in and out in 5 months. Did you have the question I'm asked all the time is like, how do you get your money for the first deal? And I'm usually like friends and family. What was it like? Was that the same experience on your side? It was pretty much asking everyone you can talk to.
So it just starts as a text. I texted at the time 5 separate individuals. It was an all cash offer. We needed about 1.2 to do the deal, including all renovation costs. All 5 people responded relatively quickly. They understood it was my first deal at the helm, but they were all, involved. I put together a detailed breakdown, sent an email with an Excel sheet of, a timeline, what we're paying for in the renovation. Why do I believe it's going to sell at this, exit price, et cetera. And there were really no questions. The real estate spoke for itself, and, I had it funded in a couple of days. So.
Wow. Yeah. Congratulations. And here's a question that I don't think I've ever asked before, but I have been asked before. How much time did you, Randall, put into that first deal to make sure it was solid and ready to go?
Too much time. It was my baby. So, I was driving out to La Habra probably twice a week at least, minimum, for that 5-month period. At the time I was living in Newport Beach.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, you hit traffic and it's 45 to an hour. And I'm back and forth. Yeah, exactly. And I'm out there probably, for an hour at a time. From the start, it was driving the neighborhood, learning the comps and everything like that. And then it was, how are the vendors doing? What are things renting around the neighborhood? What can we rent it for? So I spent too much time, to be direct with you. I can tell you that the amount of time spent on that deal versus the amount of time that I've spent, at the site of my last 3 deals is not even comparable. I mean, I lived in La Habra, to be frank with you, in that first deal, but it was worth it. It was worth it. I think it was necessary.
I only ask because I know who experienced that first deal is like you obsess over it, right? You want to make sure it's like so perfect. I didn't miss anything. Yeah. And then you realize you can't control everything, right?
Exactly. That is a huge lesson. Yeah.
So that was your first deal. What since then, what was your most significant deal, either to you or just from a monetary perspective?
So actually, this answers both parts of that question. And it was a deal that we did right at the start of COVID. Obviously, everyone remembers as soon as COVID opened, the market kind of froze for a second. And then obviously, a lot of individuals were on the sidelines.
It was the ice age, right? Yeah, it was.
No kidding. No, literally the ice age. And I remember at the time, and I'll talk about this lesson later on, but I just had this sense in the back of my head that things were going to be just fine. I had a feeling that, we were looking at a couple of projects. One fell out. This one was still kind of on the hook. and I figured let's just push through it. I think it's gonna be fine. It's good real estate, good basis. It's 5 units in Midway City. I had just bought a sister property before COVID that was performing well for us. So I pushed forward. We gathered the funds, 4 investors total, plus myself. And we're in and out of the deal in about 6 months, 6.5 months. And to date, it was the greatest return on investment that I've had of any of the deals I did.
Really?
And reason being is, my friends and I always like to say to each other, today is a great day to buy real estate, like every day, because there's never a bad day to buy real estate. As long as you have good basis, you understand the dirt, you know what you're getting into. Exactly. Market conditions considered, at least you own good real estate, in the long term. So that was definitely the most significant deal. Call it naivety, but I just put my head down, push forward, and got it done.
Or genius, flash foresight.
Maybe, I don't know.
Psychic.
Luck too. Luck too. I don't know if anyone had the crystal ball during COVID, but I thought I did, and I just went for it. So that was a fun one. That was a really fun one.
Did you have any trouble raising money during that time? Because everybody was so like,
not okay. So yes and no. I think I would have had trouble raising money if it required more capital. This was a higher leverage deal with a really good loan term too. Yeah, right. Really great program.
That's exactly. LTVs were like 80%, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So I got great debt, and the property cash flow day 1, 2, which was really important. Not a lot of flips do. Yeah, at least ones that I take on. And so getting into it, I believe the total cost that we needed to do the deal from, including renovation costs, was around $500,000. That's all we needed.
Wow.
So it was, in the snap of fingers, I had it raised from, 2 texts, right? Like, what's the address? How much do you need? Only $100,000, done. So, most of the friends and family that I'm dealing with are higher net worth. So it's, $100,000 to them wasn't much. And so I got lucky, the fact that it was a great debt done by, not to do too many shout outs, but Matthew Brown at Fidelity. I mean, he was another guy who just pushed through the pandemic, and he got some really good debt for us on a few deals. Yeah,
that's awesome, Randall. Congratulations. And what was your in fix and flip? I don't think, do you consider IRR, or is it just an ROI on my?
So yeah, I never use IRR, mostly because we're in and out of a deal in less than 12 months for the most part.
Right. You need at least 12 months for IRR, right?
Mm-hmm. So our return on cost, return on investment, ROI, was 67%.
Wow.
Yeah. And it was in 6 months. So if you annualized it, it was over, 2x your money. If you want to IRR it. Yeah. But I just stick to the ROI, the core figure.
That's great. Let me just repeat that for those who missed it. Randall's investors put in $100,000 each and walked away with $167,000 each.
Yeah.
in 5 months or 6 months is what I'm hearing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's impressive, sir.
Yeah. And I'll remind him at the end, I'm like, wow, you guys made a lot and did nothing. You're pretty nice, huh? That's always texting.
With that, it sounds like do you do mostly multifamily? All multifamily?
Yeah. Only multifamily. Yeah, we have personally, as a broker, I've sold other product types, but I stick to, in terms of pooling together money, purchasing properties for short or long term. I know multifamily the best. I know my market extremely well. So I would only trust someone else, if they were an expert in a certain field. I always am hesitant about, investing with certain people who are kind of expanded extremely broad, doing a lot of different fields, because I've always learned that, it's good to specialize, to be an expert in one field, and not necessarily put all your eggs in that basket, but, become the best at that. So I've really, really latched on to multifamily, really latched on to the Orange County market. And I like to say there's no streets that surprise me. When a deal pops up, I usually know where it is, what it looks like, what the street, in the neighborhood, the rents, everything like that. That's the other reason too, is that I can work quickly if I stay in my comfort zone.
Something to be said about being an expert in, like, what is it? The niches are in the riches, right? Like,
right.
Absolutely. That's one topic I think that there's a misconception in commercial real estate that there's only multifamily, when there's actually a whole bunch of subsets of it, right?
Yeah.
Is people say, you're in commercial real estate. Like, there's the office, manufacturing,
Yeah.
multifamily, storage, mobile home parks.
Yeah. So
right?
much. So yeah, it's broad. It's broad, far and few. And I've got friends who have had success in doing multiple fields, and I've kind of stuck to the niche. So to each his own. Yeah.
I completely agree with you. I have multifamilies where my investment expertise lies as well, and it's I've found over the years that people do seem to they diversify later in life, but early on they kind of find one and run with it, and then as they've gotten the multifamily portfolio stabilized, and they maybe reach into a couple diversification tactics like storefronts or retail, which I wouldn't advise that now, but in the past.
Yeah, no kidding.
Well, what are some of we talk about all the great stuff about multifamily, and it is great, but what's some of the challenges like that you faced along your journey? We know they're out there.
It's easy to break down in two categories. One is market conditions, and then category two is the unexpected. Market conditions, obviously the first thing that comes to mind was COVID. Dealing with a global pandemic that affects the market. Obviously interest rates dropped significantly and we weren't expecting that, but the market got extremely hot. And then you're dealing with something that recently happened, rate hikes, another factor to market conditions. So those are definitely challenges because it's really difficult to predict the future. You can study all you want, you can, consult all you want, but no one really truly knows what's going to happen in 6 months. So market conditions are definitely a challenge. And then the other category, obviously the unexpected being, a fire, hurricane, earthquake. Obviously in California, we mainly deal with brush fires and earthquakes. And in the instance of a recent property that we fixed and flipped, it was a grease fire. So
really?
Yeah.
In one of the tenant occupied unit?
In a tenant occupied unit, just a Sunday barbecue turned into a 9-month delay in our project. So burned half. It was a 6-unit property in Santa Ana. Just, never really got down to exactly who did what, but they just figured it originated from the balcony and it was most likely a grease fire. And, we had to deal with the insurance payout. We had to deal with making sure the tenants were safe, obviously, first and foremost, relocating. And then obviously renovating everything, fixing everything, make sure it gets to code and getting our certificate of occupancy again. So that was a long derail and something that, I learned, obviously, be very conservative, expect everything, make sure you have a good basis going into any deal, and have good insurance is definitely extremely important.
Did the insurance work out like it was supposed to?
Yes.
I'm curious. It did.
Yes,
That's good. That good. It gives us confidence in the market and the industry. Okay.
We didn't have to go out of pocket for anything. I mean, we were reimbursed for rent, the roof, everything. We were cut a check, and it was an ample amount. And I don't know if we're fortunate or just smart with the insurance policy choosing, but never underestimate the importance of an insurance policy, especially on a multifamily property.
Absolutely. Right. No, I've run into deals and been in escrow asking for the insurance cert, and I have been told, the insurance the owner doesn't believe in insurance. I was like, okay. And they've ran it for 30 years that way. And I'm like,
that's scary.
Wow. Okay. No, it's just like, I'm just gonna be quiet.
He probably doesn't sleep at night. Wow. Yeah, not for me.
And then, was this property under management when the fire happened? Was it?
Yes.
Do you have a management company? Were we managing it? Did you have a different company?
Yeah.
I think I heard about this.
Yes.
I think I heard.
Beachfront was managing the property.
It wasn't that long ago, right?
Everything. This was the fire happened almost a year ago.
Yeah, it's about a year ago,
right? We just closed escrow on selling that property a month or two ago. Beachfront was managing the property, did an extremely exceptional job at taking care of the tenants. Ensuring that we got our reimbursement for everything. Managing the project as they were fixing everything, and delivering our CO in a really really substantially, I would say beneficial amount of time. It was took the headache off of me. I would say. So
Awesome.
that was very, very, very awesome.
Why did you choose beachfront property management? Because I know you came on before I was here, and I came in
Yes.
here. I was here in 2018, and you were already doing business with us. What made you decide on our property management company versus some other?
That's a good question. It wasn't even really much of a decision. It was kind of, to backtrack. Kyle Kazan is basically family to us. My father's known him forever. Yeah, he's known me since I was a kid, and I grew up learning the ropes via beachfront. So when it came time to get my feet on the ground and get into the industry, I didn't even second guess it. It was beachfront all the way. They're family to me, so that's the real reason why I use them. Not because you guys are the best, which you are, but because you guys are family.
Relationships, right? I mean,
exactly. Yeah.
It really
that's the best
is.
way to boil it down to.
Your network is your net worth, right? Is that
absolutely?
Throw my isms out during this.
Yeah, there you go.
What advice? I mean, as you obviously have the experience, and you're not you haven't been in it for 30 years, but you've been in it for your career. What advice would you give to someone who was you 5-10 years ago that was looking to get into it, maybe doesn't have Barry Mycorn as a father and didn't grow up in it, right? And would like to go get into it. What advice would you have for them on how their first steps and how to stay motivated when it seems like this daunting, crazy thing to get into?
Absolutely. Yeah, no, absolutely. The first thing I would say is just a simple word: go.
Go.
A lot of times people just starting out or relatively new to the business, they'll find every excuse to hold back from either pursuing a property or a project or putting money into something. It's always, what's wrong with it? Why can't I do it? Why shouldn't I do this? I say go. Definitely put your best foot forward. Trust your instinct. Go. But with that, there's a second part to this, and it's always get a second, third, and fourth opinion. So while you're pushing forward, avoiding the negatives and focusing on the glass half full aspect, pursuing each project, always get opinions. I'm 5 years into this, that's nothing, but I've done over 20 projects so far. And I always get a third.
Though. I mean,
but I'm always getting a second, a third, a fourth, a fifth opinion, whether it be on value, whether it be on, my whole ideal with the project. I'm always getting opinions. No matter how much of an expert I think I might be, it's always good to get differing opinions and bounce them off each other and, consult. So while you want to push forward and just go and not, focus on every excuse in the book to not do something, also get second opinions on it as well. So those are my two pieces of advice for someone just starting out.
Who is your mastermind group that you get advice from? Obviously, your father is probably one. I would say that, right? But
at the beginning,
like other brokers, other investors, just like who? What type? Well, I guess what type of people would you say would be good for like a mastermind to run ideas by?
So, while it's good to have a mentor who's as experienced and successful as my father, he is my father. So I try to seek out people who don't know me since before I was born. So Greg Horvath is one individual who also works at RLM Equities that I bounce everything off of. Anything and everything, when it comes from life all the way to real estate, fix and flips, long-term holds, helping a client, exit an asset. I'm always talking to Greg Horvath. I, talk to Chris Holgreen often. He's a wealth of knowledge as well.
Right. I hear you guys talking all the time because his office is literally right behind me.
Exactly. Yeah.
Hey, Randall.
I'm always bothering him. And there's a number of my competitors that I try to keep, I call them competitors, but I try and keep, a friendly relationship with that. I'll even bounce ideas off them. We have this trust between myself and, a competing brokerage firm. And I feel really comfortable sharing a deal and, getting 2 cents on it, on what I think the exit value is or market rents in the area, et cetera. So that's kind of unique.
I would say that's very unique of you, Randall, because we're in most of the time, everyone's so closed with their deals and their clients. And
I know. Yeah.
Right. I've always thought that was like, if everyone just kind of was a little more open about it, everyone would have a little more fun and it'd be a little bit easier for all. But
absolutely.
I'm with you on that.
Piggybacking on that. almost a year ago, I started doing, we skipped a quarter, but like once a quarter, I'll invite a lot of the competitors like in my age range. So then,
Oh,
the up and
really?
coming generation. Yeah.
Yeah,
Cause
no, I know.
yeah, I
That's
noticed
cool.
when I was a rookie, I remember hearing like war stories about, the top dogs at every firm and how
Right.
they weren't really like they would cooperate, but the things that they'd say about each other weren't so great. And I always thought it would be kind of cool if the next crop were tight and friends and did deals together and shared information. And so I do these, grab a beer and chat type gatherings.
Awesome.
And yeah, 21 guys show up at the last one, and
Wow.
we just chat for hours on end and just get to know each other behind the listing, right? Not just
Right.
what's this guy's deal, what does he price it at, who's his client, et cetera. It's more like how'd you get in the business, and what are you trying to do, what are your goals, just getting to know these guys.
That's
And I
awesome.
think that breaks down the walls of, like you said, everyone's like, hey, I got my information, I got my deals, I don't want to share them, but these guys are opening up, and I hope it's working. For me, at least it has. I get
Right.
something extremely rare is another agent sending you his off-market property that he doesn't have control of. It's
Wow.
scary, right? You send over a
Yeah.
deal that you have zero control of, and you know
Ask for his
you're
opinion.
taught, yeah, you're taught as a rookie, like, hey, don't share any information. You can go straight to the source. But I get these deals all the time from all these agents, and I call myself a locked box because every time I get it, I look at it from a principal's perspective. I switch hats. I put my principal hat on, and I'm working
Right.
direct with this agent now. And I think that's extremely invaluable. And I hope to,
Absolutely.
yeah, I hope a lot of other guys can start doing stuff like that. I think more deals will get done. Clients will get a better service, and I just think it'll be better for everyone.
I think, especially when in an economy that becomes such a B2B and B2C lines are blurring, like the lines
Yes.
between like face to face and not face to face are blurring. These used to be done in
Yeah,
person. Now it's way cooler. We're just doing them on Zoom. But things
absolutely.
are changing in that respect. And one of them is the basis of trust, right? Like it seems to be, because if we all believe
Absolutely.
that, you're going to get kicked off the islands if you do not,
Yep.
adhere to the privacy protocols, then
Yeah,
what is there to fear, right?
exactly.
Because as you know, it gets really small in this business. Like the longer you're in it,
Absolutely.
like the 15-year guys like me and the 20-year and 30-year guys. I mean, those guys
Yeah.
all know each other. Like if you've been in this thing for
Yeah.
30 years, they can name everyone that's still in
Yeah,
it.
exactly.
they had dinner with
Exactly.
them last week, kind of thing. Like it's weird.
No kidding. Yeah.
But
It's wild.
I agree.
Yeah.
Like but I think it's what you're doing is it's awesome. Do you have a name for this gathering, Randall?
Um, you know, I didn't really coin it yet. I think the last two, like I send out an invite, right? An email
Right.
invite, and usually I just put multifamily social on there. Because
Okay.
all these guys work in multifamily, they all for the most part work Orange County, and we're socializing. So I just sent
Yeah.
out the
All right.
multifamily social, and the
Yeah.
guys in my industry are always down to grab a beer. So
Of course.
that's the way you get them. Yeah, you get the
Yeah.
first round, and everyone starts talking. So it's fun. It's very fun.
Awesome. Well, let's hear almost to the end of our session here, which means the lightning round.
Yeah, let's do it. I'm
Are you ready,
excited.
sir? I'm going to just fire
Yeah.
off questions. You're going to answer. I'm going to go right into the next one, and we are done.
All right.
You ready? Ready?
Yes,
All right.
sir.
Here
Yeah,
we
let's do
go.
it.
First question. Favorite book?
Business book would be Delivering Happiness by Tony Say, Zappa CEO. And then I'd say The Wind Up Girl by Paulo. It's a fiction book that I really like.
Wind Up by Paulo Coelho?
I can't pronounce the last name. It's a Brazilian guy. I don't even want to try it.
Did he
The
write The
Wind Up Girl,
Alchemist?
though. No, close.
One thing that absolutely terrifies you.
Wow. I would say like jumping into the ocean really far away from shore and having no idea what's below me. Yeah. Which is ironic because I scuba dive, but not being able to see underneath is very scary. Yeah.
You get to have dinner with any fictional character, live, dead, made up, or otherwise. Who is it or what is it? And what's the one question you ask them?
So it would be Mark Watney from The Martian.
Mark Watney from The Martian.
Yeah. And I would ask him kind of the same question that was asked during his lecture at the end of the movie. how did you do it? I'd like to know like firsthand how he survived so long, on a planet isolated. It's fiction, call me a nerd, but I just feel like it'd be really cool to hear, from his perspective, what everything was like.
Great answer. Great question. That's cool. I would never thought of that. What's the best gift you've ever received?
Oh, my class ring, for sure.
Class ring.
My parents bought me a class ring when I graduated UCI. My dad had always worn his class ring, as a kid, still wears it today. And I would always play with it or like wear it. And I always thought it was something really cool. And I didn't think they were going to do it, but he popped the ring out when I graduated. And I had tears in my eyes. I thought it was the coolest thing ever.
That's awesome.
Felt like full circle. So yeah, class ring.
Oh, awesome. What one habit or stack of habits do you employ regularly, either daily, weekly, monthly, that sets you up to succeed?
Okay. I start every day. I do the Wordle, and then I play about a half hour of chess online. And this is to get like my brain working. That's the first most important thing. I do that every single day, whether it's Monday, Tuesday, Sunday, it doesn't even matter. I always like when you wake up. Sharp. Absolutely. First thing I do, Wordle. Wow. Once I get the Wordle, I jump right into about a half hour of chess. I play like 3 or 4 games, rapid. So I feel like I'm sharp, ready to go for the day.
Wow.
And then
before coffee.
Yeah. I don't drink coffee. I'm not a coffee drinker, shockingly. Yeah.
Wow.
Ice water is how I get energized.
Nice.
But yeah, that's probably the main thing. And then I learned recently to like breathe through my nose more often. I used to get migraines, and I've been focusing on when I'm working or long hours at the computer or on the phone, even listening, I try and breathe through my nose more often. And I think
interesting.
I've heard that you get more oxygen. It's cleaner breath. And I haven't had any migraines since I started focusing on it about 6 months ago. So that's another thing that I do. Yeah, that's about it.
I've never heard that a little bit. I'll have to remember that one. Last question. In the last 5 years, what new belief, behavior, or behavior, aside from the breath, has most improved your life?
I think it's that motto and mantra that I say between my friends. Today's a great day to buy real estate.
Today's a great day to buy real estate.
Yeah, it's I've found success with it, and it's enhanced my lifestyle. So it answers the question, how's it improved my life? It's caused me to have great success. And every day, no matter what's happening, whether it's turmoil in the market or something, some disasters going on, it's always a good day to buy real estate.
Oh, it is always a good day to buy real estate. It's like that's fantastic. It's a good affirmation to wake up in the morning. It's a great day to buy real estate, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. It's like funny. You laugh about it, but like, it's so true.
No, it's great. It's true.
Yeah. Yeah. So I always like getting that text. I have a group chat with a few guys who are in the same industry, and we get that text. Some people thumbs it down, like they're having a bad day today or whatever. But
no, it's not.
It always starts the chat off. So yeah, great day to buy real estate. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Randall, that is it for our show today. Any parting shots, questions, or things you'd like to tell our viewers?
No, I want to thank you for the time and inviting me. And recognizing me. Welcome. Yeah,
absolutely. Happy to thank you for joining us and giving us your time.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, shout out to Beachfront. You guys are incredible, and thanks for everything done for me for the past few years. Yeah.
Well, we appreciate you, Randall. We do, man. And you've come a long way since I first met.
Yeah.
No kidding. It's a whole different world, right? It seems like that was like forever.
It feels like it's been a decade. Yeah.
Yeah. It's only been a pandemic in 4 years, but
yeah. What does it feel like? What is it? Yeah. Seriously.
All right, Randall. Well, thank you so much. We are signing off, sir. We'll see you next time.